Mousing a hook. The whole idea of mousing a hook is that if, say for example, we have a load on our hook, so let's imagine that we have a load on our hook, and the whole idea of mousing a hook is when the weight comes off the hook, it prevents your strop, rope, whatever it is that you're using to lift with from coming off the hook, therefore keeping it safer. Also, I believe that in days of old, mousing a hook also increased the strength of your actual hook. So to mouse our hook, as you can see, I've got my hook laid out in front of me, and to the right hand side here, I've got some twine. Now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to tie the Bale Sling Hitch. And to do that, what I'm going to do is just get hold of my twine and get the two ends together and allow them to meet, and then just pull the cordage through, keep pulling through until you've centered your line like so. So now we have a bite in our line, and the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pass that underneath the hook at the back there, pass it underneath the hook, bring that bite up with my left hand, and then I'm going to pass my two ends through that bite and then bring it up through and keep pulling through till we pull all of our twine through, and then pull it up nice and tight and snugly. And then what we've now done is we've tied the Bale Sling Hitch. So now that we've tied our Bale Sling Hitch at this point here, we now have two working ends coming out from that bite there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top one and just pass it underneath the hook at that point. This bottom one here, I'll just move it out the way whilst I work with the top piece of twine here. So now that I've taken it underneath, I'm going to bring it around over the top and to the left hand side of my hook. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pass that working end underneath and bring it round through, pull it all through, and keep it nice and tight, and don't let it cross. Keep it nice, tight and parallel to the previous strands below, and it's now back at the front of the hook again. And what we're going to do now is go round for a second time. So I'm taking it over the top, just hold my finger on there, get the working end and pass it underneath, and then bring it to the front again. And just make sure it doesn't cross. You can pull it through any old way you want to. Just make sure it doesn't cross over. We want nice, neat, parallel lines. And basically, we're dictated here by the amount of hook, or the tip of the hook, that we can actually wrap it round. So now that we've gone round twice and I've got two nice parallel lines, I'm going to take that working end and I'm just going to put it underneath something heavy just to keep it out of the way for filming. Now we've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bottom working end here and we're going to wrap it round in an opposite direction as we did to the top one. So first of all, I'm going to take it around the front, then bring it underneath and then to the back of my hook. Keep it nice and tight, then take it over again for a next time, run it parallel to the previous one, bring it around the front and take it underneath and pass it to the back. And so now you can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 turns around our hook. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our right hand strand and our left hand strand and we're going to get them to cross over and meet in the middle. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick it up and bring it over like so. I then go underneath and pick up the left hand strand and bring it over the top like so. Keep the tension on it, pull it up nice and tight, and then the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to bring the bottom one up to meet the top one and allow them to cross at this point here. So allow them to cross at that point there. Just let me get my fingers there. That's it. They're crossing now at that point there. And the next thing I do is I lock it off and hold it with my finger where those two are crossing. So if I just take my finger out the way there, you can see now those two are crossing over at that point there, and I'm holding it with my finger. And the next thing I do is fairly simple, fairly easy, is, whoop, I'm just slipping out there, just hold it with my fingers, that point. And then the next thing I'm going to do is we take this top one here and we're going to start wrapping it around, and it's known as frapping. So what we're going to do is bring it over the top and then take it underneath and bring it round for one turn. And that is now known as frapping. And we just work our way, keep going around, over the top, pass it underneath and keep going round until we get a number of turns on our line. So we're going round once, go round, bring it underneath, keep going round, and you can see if I take my fingers out the way, oh, I'm slipping off there slightly. If I take my fingers out the way, you can see now I've got 1, 2, 3 turns. So go round again for another time, take it round, underneath, and all we do is just keep going like that until we get close to the end. So what I'll do is I'll just take that close to the end and then I'll show you the other side. Okay, so as you can see, I've done a couple more turns and we've now come to the end here, almost to the end. And the next thing I'm going to do is just take it underneath. So take the working end underneath my work again for another turn. And so take it underneath and then bring it up. But this time, rather than just take a turn round, what we're going to do is I'm going to take that working end and then just push it up through that piece there. Push it up, and that will then lock it in place at the end. So take it up, pull it through, and you can see now what I've done is I have locked it in place, and so we can let go of that and we don't need to worry about that coming undone. So now we've taken our turns to the right hand side. The next thing we want to do is get hold of our left hand strand here and basically just go round in the opposite direction. So take it around, pass it underneath, bring your twine through and start wrapping it round and going off to the left hand side. So just take it round, underneath and to the left hand side. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it a few more turns to the left hand side and then I'll show you that last step again. So as you can see, I've done a number of turns going off to the left hand side, and what I'm going to do now is just put my final turn in. And so to put my final turn in, I'm going to hold it with my finger like so, pass my twine underneath, pass it underneath, and then this time pull it through. But as I pull it through, I'm now going to pass it underneath the loop we're creating on the left hand side there, and that will then, as you can see, as I'm doing that, it's now locked it nice and neatly in place. And so the next thing that we're going to do is we've done that. What we've done there is known as frapping. And then what we're going to do now is work it back to the middle again, and that's known as riding turns because it's riding over the top of our frapping. So the next thing that we do is I'm going to choose the left hand to start with, and all I'm going to do is now go underneath, take it round, underneath, and start going around in the opposite direction. Just make sure they're running parallel to each other on the previous turns. So go round, underneath, and just keep doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep doing that till I get to the middle, and then we'll go on to the right hand side. Okay, so as you can see, I've done my riding turns, gone from the left hand side over to the right hand side, and they're nice, neat and parallel. And we're now almost at the middle here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just move that one out of the way, and I'll weight it down with something on this side so it doesn't move. And then the next thing I'm going to do is do exactly the same on the right hand side. I'm going to take it around, underneath. So we're doing riding turns around, over the top, and then all we're doing is just going around until we get to the middle. So as soon as I get to the middle, we'll then show you the next step. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my riding turns going from the outside to the middle, outside to the middle, and we now have our 2 leads at this point here. And the next thing I'm going to do is just turn it around so it's easier to see. And all I'm going to do now is tie a reef knot into our line. So I'm just going to take it. So I'm going to pass the left one over the right hand one. So left over right, and then pull the excess through, and then right over left. Take right one over the left one, bring it round underneath, and there is a separate video which I'll put in the description on tying the reef knot. And then once we've tied our reef knot, there we have it. All we need to do now is cut off the excess here, and we now have 1 in number, nicely dressed, smart mousing on a hook.